just think of the last thing you quit. Can you honestly say you've done everything you could to keep it going? Not even the business. Let's just say a relationship.
Yeah.
Did you do everything you could? No stone unturned. I tried and I tried all. And I think some people take it as I'm trying the same thing.
That's it.
Over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, okay, the relationship isn't working and I'm just loving the person harder. And I'm going to love harder. And they're still not loving me back and I'm just going to love harder. And we might say, oh, well, I gave everything I could. Not true. Mm-hmm. You just tried the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Did we try identifying what love looks like to them?
Mm.
Did we try to talk to some of their friends to see, okay, what is the real issue? Did we try sitting down with the person to ask point blank, yo, what do you think we need to do?
Did we change any habits?
Did we change anything?
Did we change anything? And that's really important because in relationship, in friendship, in business, you will see that there are elements that you have to change. Like, oh, I should have done this differently. Mm-hmm. But then you give it another go and you start doing things a little differently, but you fall back into your same inconsistent or detrimental behavior and you start getting that same result. And then you've convinced yourself, oh, I even changed X, Y, and Z and it still didn't work. No, you changed X, Y, and Z temporarily. Mm-hmm. You weren't consistent at the change that was required, which is why you end up back in the same place wanting to quit.
100%. All right, listen, every single week, every episode, you hear me talking about themorningmeetup.com. It's the community. Let me show you what's happening here. Every single morning, Monday through Friday, there's 400 plus people on a Zoom call, right? We're learning, we're talking, we're growing together, and this is you. There's all these people here. It's all these people in the morning meetup. Hundreds of people reading books, growing, we get together quarterly. It's amazing. And for some reason, you just keep looking at, just go to themorningmeetup.com and get in the circle. And then you'll be like way happier. Just themorningmeetup.com. Let's get back to the episode. Welcome to another edition of the Social Proof Podcast. Me and Donni, we teach entrepreneurship. So after this episode, you will learn some things about entrepreneurship that you didn't consider. And it's going to be really, really good. You're going to grow. You're going to share this with somebody. And if you're listening, I want you to hit the like, subscribe button, whether you're listening on audio or YouTube. If you're just watching on YouTube, I need you to go to the audio and just hit the follow button, Social Proof Podcast. That is the best way to support us.
Yes, yes, yes. You guys will notice that we have a different setup today.
Yeah.
That is because we have a bunch of special guests that have joined us from LA. Let's shout out our studio audience.
Round of applause.
Up in here.
Energy was light. Energy was mid.
The energy was, you know what I mean? I wasn't feeling the energy of a room full of people that are excited to be in this room. So we're going to try it one more time.
Let's try it one more time.
Give it up for our studio audience who is excited to be here.
Okay. Yes, now we can podcast.
So before you ask, my biggest lesson of last week was to be sure that I beat you to the punch and ask you what your biggest lesson from last week was, because you never answer.
How was that your lesson?
That was my lesson. Like last week, I had to really dig deep for a lesson and it turned really deep. But then I realized David never answers when I say, what was your biggest lesson?
She doesn't really ask me.
I always ask.
Well, so we was in Las Vegas.
We were in Las Vegas.
And it was cool, man. It was cool. What I realized walking into the hotel and we're walking through the casino and it doesn't seem like everyone's having a good time. You know what I mean? You know, you go somewhere and it's like, or if you go to Chuck E. Cheese, the kid, everybody's having fun. Hey, or some people walking in the mall, they're talking, having a good time. Everybody's upbeat. Or you're doing something cool. You in the gym, everybody hooping, talking, having fun. In the casino, it's not that vibe.
People were mad stressed out.
It was stress. It was focused. Head in hand like this. So I did not play, but my wife did. And she went to the teller, she went to the cashier, and she pulled out a 20 and said, let me get $20 in tokens.
No way.
$20.
I was not there for this part. I would not have co-signed that.
$20. So she gets her little tokens or whatever and goes to the machine. First thing I notice on the slot machine, because she's like, I'm gonna play the slots. First thing I notice is that there is a charger input on the slot machine.
For your phone.
For you. I know if I put my phone on the charger, that's signifying I'm going to be here for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And if your phone is dying, you'll probably say, oh, great, charger, bang, I'm there, I'll hook it up. And if you're playing and lose your money and you realize that you only got 12%, what will you do? Play some more. And play some more, and play some more. And I understand that Vegas always wins for the most part. Now, I know some people feel like they have, they're a skilled craps roller. Like, you know how to get the 7 from shaking it in your hand to all the other side, and you just feel like you're good at it. Or you figured out your own science on roulette, saying I always bet on black, and you feel good about yourself because you black. And that's your whole strategy, and you think black always wins, but the casino always wins. It was a guy, and it's like a little bit of a misunderstanding for me. I go into the, it's an area called, I think it was called High Rollers or High Stakes. Yeah, something like that. So I walk in, I'm not playing, but I want to see the people who's betting big. I feel like I'm gonna walk in and get an entrepreneurial principle or something. These are people that are betting big. So I'm at a table, I'm not at the table, I'm looking at the table. I'm seeing it's chips, it's stacked chips. It ain't no 1s and 5s. It's some money on this table. And then I go to another table just looking around, I'm just observing. And I get to this roulette table and I'm just observing and people are looking at me. I'm like, just trying to see what table's hot right now, okay, before I make a decision. I'm not playing. But it was one guy. He puts $100 on black and he puts $100 on red. I don't know if you know how roulette works, but they put this little ball on a little spinny thing. They spin it, and wherever the little ball lands at the end, that's what you win or lose. So if you pick 36 black and the little ball is on 36 black, I think it's like 36 times your money.
No idea how to play.
So if you put up $100 and it lands on that one particular number, you'll make $3,600. Really, really dope. But what's interesting, this guy put $100 on black and $100 on red. Anybody know why they would do that? Like, for one, there's no chance of winning because it's either going to land on black or red. If it lands on black, you get another $100 for your black, but you lose the 100 for red. And if it lands on red, you lose your money from black, but you double up on red. So you break even. But there's also a number on this roulette wheel. You know what that is? 0 and 00. So it's a possibility that it lands on 0 or 00 and you lose all your money. So you can either break even or lose. This is a terrible scenario. Would you agree? So I go get my friends. I'm like, Donni, you're not going to believe this. This guy's got to be drunk out of his mind. Because he puts $100 on black, $100 on red, and the dealer says, sure you want to do that? He's like, yes. I think he had to be from somewhere else. He said, yes. And the manager's there. And the manager's like right behind the dealer guy. And the manager says, okay, there's really no chance of winning here. You could lose. Like, are you prepared to just lose your money with no chance of winning? And he said, yes, I am prepared to lose. I said, oh, I gotta go get my friends. I go get Donni and Kenny and Dre, and I'm like, yo, you're not gonna believe this. This guy is prepared to lose. And I just got my whole, I got a whole, like, I have a whole presentation ready in my head. I'm about to go Instagram Live and say some people just ready to lose. So I'm telling him the story, right? And we come by and I'm like, yo, you gotta see this guy. And Donnie's like, yo, is he still there? I said, I hope so. So we walk by, the guy's still there by himself. He's the only person at this particular table. And I said, man, how's it going? He said, it's cool. And I said, hey, man, just real quick, you put the chip on black and red, and you can't really win. There's no way to win. Like, why'd you do that? I'm in my interview mode, right? I'm like, why'd you do that? He said, Well, it gives me a chance to see what numbers are hot or something like that. It gives me a chance to see what numbers, like, is black more prevalent or red more prevalent or whatever. And I said, oh, wow, there's a system to it. He's willing to lose $200 to see if the table's hot. And maybe if you lose the money, it helps you have some sort of identification of how he's going to win some money, which is stupid because it's all random. But there was a method to his madness, but his method was wrong. It was a terrible method. Why not just wait until some other people are playing? If that's your thing, let me see. Okay, it's black is hitting more than red. Okay, now I have a higher possibility. The method was just wrong. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs and they do some things that in their head make sense, but makes absolutely no sense. And I get people that are like, they look for validation in their coaching. They tell me all about their business and they're looking for me to say, yo, that's a really good idea. Oh man, this is gonna blow. But when I give kind of like the holes that I see, and I'm not saying it's not going to work, and maybe this guy's made millions of dollars doing this. I don't know from my perspective. But some people are just so stuck on validating their idea, or they come up with something that sounds good in their head. And it's good to tell people about it, but it's not effective.
Yeah.
So that was like my idea. I was like, dang, am I doing some things where I don't understand the rules to the game? And maybe you didn't truly understand the rules to the game. And we're doing some things in your particular industry, in your particular space. There are certain rules to every game that we have to abide by and know before we play it. So as an entrepreneur, there's certain rules. There's some foundational principles that I think a lot of people tap into our podcast to get this like foundational principles of this game we call entrepreneurship. And we have to listen and heed to it. So that was my lesson. How was your week, man?
My week was awesome. First of all, I had an amazing time in Vegas.
Yep.
We were on a group trip and we had a great time. I used Vegas as an opportunity to practice my discipline, to test and practice discipline. So on the last episode, people would have seen that we had a conversation about whether or not you would gamble, and you said no, and you stuck to it. You definitely adhered to that. I, on the other hand, gambled, okay, because I love to go to Vegas and play blackjack. So I didn't get to gamble right away. One of our friends took I think the first night, like $600 out, and they gambled at blackjack and they lost all their money.
In a matter of a good 4 minutes. Literal 4 minutes. It's 600 down the drain.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
They lost like $600. So I'm watching and listening to the story of how this happened, and they didn't stop there. They went and got more money. Like, we're going to get this money back. So meanwhile, I kind of come downstairs and I see I like to gamble late at night. I like the opportunity to get a dealer by myself, and I play the damsel in distress. Like, I don't know how to play. Like, can you just kind of help me? What should I do on this card?
Strategy.
Right? I like to sit at the table by myself. So I go to the ATM and my discipline says, it sets my boundary to be $300. $300, I'm going to play real quick and I'm done if I lose this money. So I go to the table and I'm up. I end up winning. I take 100 of the $300. I don't touch the other two at all. I get my chips and I end up winning an additional $400.
Ooh, okay.
So I am up, right? And we end up leaving, going to the room. So now I have $700 to work with. I have already committed to not touching that 300 original withdrawal for no reason at all.
No reason.
No reason at all. So the next day, or it may have been the third day, whatever our next day of gambling was, our friends, they gamble. I come downstairs. They had already been gambling. And he's like, great news. I won all my money back. Fantastic. Like, if I were down $600 and I won all my money back, I'd probably chill, right? That was not the case. There is no chill, because the adrenaline and everything that's pumping through you, now that you've won this money back, you feel like you're winning, but really you just broke even. Yeah. So you've got this false perception of winning. So we decide to gamble some more. And I say, I am only utilizing the $400 that are profits anyway. So we're at the table together, and it's against my better judgment because typically I don't gamble with friends sitting next to me, and I don't like a full table. Broke both of those boundaries. And we're sitting here and we're gambling and we're gambling and we're gambling. And I'm up, I'm up, I'm up. Then he comes and sits next to me and he's gambling. He switches tables because he's not having great luck. And I'm going down and down and down.
In the 400 though?
In the 400.
Okay.
I still have my original money. So I ended up leaving Vegas with $100 more than I came with, right? I lost $300 in a matter of like 30 minutes. He, on the other hand, walked away losing $1,100. Just did not want to stop. Didn't know when to stop. And it's funny because his wife decides that she would start playing. She's winning. Right. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. So you guys aren't down 1,100 anymore. You're only down like, 600. And she's like, absolutely not.
I'm up.
I'm up.
He's down.
He's down. So, we ended up staying longer than everyone else. And I had the opportunity to gamble some more. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, I could walk away with this $100. It's not a lot of money, but I didn't lose any money. And I still get to walk away a winner. Or I could risk it all and potentially end up where our friend was, in the hole and fighting for my life to get it back. So we're walking through. We went to a super nice casino. We're walking through and I'm looking at the blackjack tables and I look at the dealer and she looks back at me and raises her chin.
You had a moment?
We had a moment. We exchanged eyes and she's like, hey, I'm ready. I'm like, I'm not. I walked away and I left Vegas with my winnings and my original profit and my original withdrawal. And for me, it was an extreme case of discipline because years ago in Vegas, I am betting it all. Yeah. Like I am betting it. I'm betting everything. I went with the goal to walk away with $5,000. I said that I'm going to leave Vegas winning $5,000. The old Donni from like 10 years ago would have stayed until something looked like a $5,000 win. This Donni was happy to walk away with her money in her pocket and $100.
Let's talk about manifestation. Why didn't you just manifest the 5,000?
I didn't.
You know what I mean?
What's interesting is manifestation is not just about saying that you're going to do something. There's actually a process to manifesting. And now that you say that, like I literally just said it just for fun. Like I'm going to get $5,000. I didn't visualize myself with it. I didn't see myself with it. I didn't do any of the things that manifestation requires. I'm just popping my tongue, talking and saying, I'm going to leave here with $5,000. I don't even feel like I was serious. I didn't even play at a level of a person who was trying to walk away with $5,000.
But you're saying you could have manifested the 5,000.
For sure. I could have.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I manifested not losing. I did see myself walking out as a winner.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good. Yeah. I have a perspective though, and a question.
Okay.
So when do you cut your losses? Because I think my man Jay, he felt like a winner, even though he lost, because he said I could have lost 10,000, but I lost 1,100. Mm-hmm. One, I think just to him as a person, there's a certain mindset that you have to have where when you lose, you're always looking at the bright side. I could have lost a lot more. Anybody ever lost a lot more? Like, it would have been really cool to stop at 1,100, but you wound up losing 5,000. Mm-hmm. Man, I was down $20. I should have just stopped at the 20, but now I'm down 300. Anybody relate to that?
Yeah.
But when do you cut your losses and say, okay, I've accepted the loss? Mm-hmm. And not just in Vegas, but in business.
Yeah.
When do you say, all right, I'm going to stop pouring money into this business. I'm going to stop working. I'm going to stop grinding. It's not working. It's costing me too much. I'm going to stop and do something else.
Mm-hmm. I think you have to create a boundary before you even start the process.
Listen, if I was going to teach you how to make $1 million, would you give me 10,000? Like if I had a course teach you how to make $1 million a year, positive, you're going to make $1 million, would you give me 10,000? Of course you would. It's no brainer, right? So in a calendar year, we make 7 figures with the podcast. But there's 21 things that I extracted from that that you're going to need to launch a podcast, but I only got time to give you 3 right now. One is you need a distribution platform. The distribution platform is what you upload your podcast to. That platform sends it to Spotify, Apple, Google Play, so that your supporters can actually listen to your podcast. You're also going to need a microphone. You need a really good microphone so it's crispy audio. And 3, you need an income strategy. This is not necessarily a hobby, unless you're going to make it a hobby, but I can teach you how I made the 7 figures with these 21 things. Now, the good news is you don't have to give me 10,000. My ebook is only $37, okay? So listen, go to podcastebook.com and get the 21 things that you need. And I can explain it in detail, all the things that you need, okay? Podcastebook.com. Let's get to the episode.
Like, decide what your parameters are before you even start. Because once you start, it's easy to go past extreme measures because you don't want to quit.
Yeah.
Or it's easy to quit quickly because you don't want to lose too big. So I think it's really important to say, hey, like in terms of gambling, I am only going to take $300 out. That is the most I am willing to lose in Vegas for this trip. In business, it could be, I am only going to spend $10,000 in this marketing campaign. That is the most that I am willing to invest for leads, and this campaign doesn't turn a profit, right? I am only going to spend this amount of time. Sometimes you have to negotiate and bargain with other people, like family members, spouses, children, and things like that. For me, when it comes to taking risks, I'm a high-level risk taker. I'm going all in. But I do due diligence first. You know that I ask a lot of questions when it's time to make a large investment. I have questions. I want to make sure that the decision that I'm making or the risk that I'm taking at least makes sense to me. It doesn't matter if it makes sense to other people. If I can rationalize it in my own head and it makes sense to me, I am going to go all in. But I do have some parameters. For example, 3 months ago, I invested $100,000 in a thing, right? I wasn't sure. I was just taking your leadership on this. I wasn't sure if this thing would work out. And I kept, saying to myself, as soon as I do it, watch, right? Well, I was willing to test that $100,000 up to a $50,000 loss. I knew that if I approached 50,000, I'm taking my money and I am running. I set that parameter before I got in, because it's easy when you're in the situation to say, but it could turn back around and go back up. And before you know it, you got $36,000 left. That's just my take on it. I struggle with quitting. Like there's no quitter in me. It can't be for, this segues into our conversation very, very well. So on this episode, we want to talk about how do you know when it's how did you word it?
What you should consider before you give up.
What you should consider before you give up. And so, as I was stating, it's hard for me to quit, because the first thing that I consider, number one, is what's the alternative? Like, what is the alternative? If I am not investing this $100,000 in this thing, then it's sitting in the bank and it has no chance of making any money, right? So what is the alternative? If I am not going all in on my business, then what is the alternative? Going all in on my job? And is that what I really, really want to do? So when I'm looking at and measuring how long I'll stay in a thing, I ask myself, if I quit this, then what?
I also think number 2, like what we need to consider before we give up or quit is our ability to execute. So my man who lost 1,100, I think he realized, it's a lot of chance in this. It's not something that I can control. But if he was doing a real estate deal or another business deal, he's probably willing to lose a lot more because he understands the ebbs and flows of businesses, the ups and downs. And I know in this particular space, I have the skill set, I have the talent, I have the resources, I have the network to get myself out of this hole. So some of us will throw money at, let's just say, we're going to start this process of, building out an apparel brand. And we put a bunch of money into the apparel brand and it doesn't work. I think
if you have like a strong idea and it's a belief, and you're only basing your ability to succeed off of your will and not your skill, you'll probably continue to dump more money into it. And I say we should probably stop dumping money into it and start putting money into ourselves and our ability to execute it. So maybe we need to stop putting money into products and put money into a course to understand how to source products or how to sell products or how to market. Because our ability will allow us to go a little bit deeper in the hole because we understand that we have to go negative sometime to build out.
Yeah.
Make sense? So I think it's before you like give up the whole thing, just consider maybe I don't know enough about the thing to succeed just yet.
Yeah. I think number 3, which is an extension of what you said, is consider, did I do everything that I possibly could do? And this is a big one. This is in your business. This is with your hobbies. This is even in your relationship. We're really, really quick to give up because something isn't working in the moment. But did I hire the relationship coach? Did we try the counseling? Did I hire the business coach? Did I study? Am I only trying to execute based on the person that I am right now? Did I grow to the person that I need to become in order for this to work? Did I ask any questions? Did I humble myself? Did I go to the meetings? Did I do more than the average person does that also ends up quitting? Average people quit every single day. Did I do anything that's above average in my execution, in my research, in my leveraging my resources that would put me in position? Like, that's one thing that I am super serious about. Before quitting in anything, I sit down and analyze, did I do everything that I could possibly do? You have a fighter in me, baby. I am going to fight until the death of me. I need to make sure that there was not a paper or a stone unturned before I quit. And again, this goes with things making sense. Because if you're right on the verge of quitting and all it took was an accountability partner for you to get that piece, or all it took was a coach, or like David mentioned, it took a course, or maybe it took a different perspective, right? Maybe it took changing the green shirts and only selling black shirts, and now you have a hit. I am going to turn every stone to make sure I did it right. And when you're thinking about that, write out a list and be really clear. What are all of the things that could possibly help me? What are all of the things that could potentially be required? So when you're in the midst of the opportunity or whatever it is that you're doing, you're not thinking emotionally. You know how it is when something's not working out. You're super emotional. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your money. It's not worth your energy. You're just acting very emotionally, and it's difficult to think logically. Oh, I just want to quit. I want to give up on life. I want to give up on this. If you predetermine what all of the possible success pathways are, then in that midst of emotion, you can just fact check. Go to that list and say, nope, I didn't try this. Let's try this before I quit.
Yeah, that's big. Like, think, like y'all that are here, just think of the last thing you quit. Can you honestly say you've done everything you could to keep it going? Not even the business. Let's just say a relationship.
Yeah.
Did you do everything you could? No stone unturned. I tried and I tried all. And I think some people take it as I'm trying the same thing.
That's it.
Over and over again. I'm just, okay, the relationship isn't working and I'm just loving the person harder. And I'm going to love harder. And they're still not loving me back and I'm just going to love harder. And we might say, oh, well, I gave everything I could. Not true. You just tried the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Did we try identifying what love looks like to them? Did we try to talk to some of their friends to see, okay, what is the real issue? Did we try sitting down with the person to ask point blank, yo, what do you think we need to do?
Did we change any habits?
Did we change anything?
Did we change anything? And that's really important because in relationship, in friendship, in business, you will see that there are elements that you have to change. Like, oh, I should have done this differently. But then you give it another go and you start doing things a little differently, but you fall back into your same inconsistent or detrimental behavior, and you start getting that same result. And then you've convinced yourself, oh, I even changed X, Y, and Z and it still didn't work. No, you changed X, Y, and Z temporarily. You weren't consistent at the change that was required, which is why you end up back in the same place wanting to quit.
100%. We have a product and we're like, yo, I'm trying to sell all that I can. I'm pushing it. And like, yo, I'm trying harder. I'm doing all that I can. Every day I go out and I'm selling stuff. But maybe it's the thing that you're selling, not the fact that you're selling the thing over and over again. Maybe your work, nothing wrong with your work ethic. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe it's the product.
Yeah.
Maybe it's nothing wrong with the work ethic or the product. Maybe it's your delivery. It could be the packaging. It could be the messaging. It could be when you out in the streets, you don't look like somebody that people want to buy from. You ever like had somebody sell something and you don't buy it because you judge the person off of it? Someone tried to sell me a t-shirt one time, like their t-shirt brand, but their presentation didn't look like somebody I wanted to like have help with my fashion situation for the day.
Listen, it happens.
Your collar looks crazy.
And it gives me my shirt was folded on somebody's living room floor vibe. While you might be folding shirts right now on your living room floor, as a consumer, I want to believe my shirt was folded in a warehouse.
Yep.
Right on a table that's been cleaned.
You got the work ethic, product's dope, but when you try to sell it to me, it smells like smoke because you smoke in your car.
Can you stop smoking long enough to make $1 million?
Oh. It's crazy. Yo, this is the stuff we're talking about, like doing all that we can. We have to, most of the time, it's us. There's something about us or what we're doing that is off. Because if you have a bad product, but people love your personality, you're nice, you're kind, you have the work ethic, even if the product is subpar, people will buy from you. You can have the amazing product, but if you have a terrible personality, you get mad when people don't buy. They ask a few questions. You're like, oh my gosh, do you want to buy it or not? Like there's something about you that people aren't receiving. So have you done everything that you can, not doing the same thing, trying to push it harder? So I would say the next point is, I don't know what point we're on is, we're on 4. Who can help me?
Yeah.
Who can help me? That would be a really, really good question to ask yourself before you quit.
Yeah.
Because you have an idea, it's like something inside of you that says this is going to work, but you could be doing it all on your own. Or we connect with our friends and family, the closest people to us, and they can't help us, or they won't help us. And we get mad at them and we say stuff like, well, nobody's supporting me. Well, really, it's like 3 people that you ask, and that's your circle of influence. You say, nobody's supporting me. But what I've experienced is in every issue that I've ever had with business, there's somebody who can help me with that issue. And I can't get myself out of that. I know it. So I'm always looking for who can solve this particular problem for me, who sees it in a different perspective. Sometimes people come on the Brain Picker podcast, dope product, really nice person. They can't get to the next level, but we'll have a conversation and we just see it from a different perspective. I can help you. And not even help you sell the product, but I'm helping you look at it at a different perspective. Donnie's giving you here's the thing, your funnel's broken. You'd have never found that on your own. Your messaging is off. You'd have never found it on your own. The way things look aesthetically, your gift might not be a presentation of a thing, but it's really good and people like you and it's going well. But sometimes Donnie can say, well, we need to really put this product in a nice box, nice wrapping paper, bow on top, because that's going to sell the thing just like the thing inside the box will. Yeah. But you can't see it because it's not your gift.
And to elaborate on your point before I move to the next one of who can help you, when you're thinking about who can help you, make sure you're going to people who actually can help you, right? Not people that you like to necessarily talk to. Sometimes you may have to get outside of your circle. For example, some of us grew up in households where we didn't learn a whole lot about money. We saw our parents struggling to pay bills. Anybody in here can relate to that? Definitely. Yes. So would it be a wise choice to go to mom or dad and say, Mom or Dad, how do I create a budget? We didn't grow up in a house with parents who had good budgeting skills. If you grew up in a home with parents who had terrible credit, why would you go to them for credit advice? But your best friend's father has excellent credit. Maybe go to that best friend's father. Like, when you're determining who can help you, it's also very important to identify who's unqualified to help you as well.
It's equally
And
important.
in this case, where you're wanting to do more, like, I don't know about you, I don't know about any of you, but at a time, I've been in circles of people that I outgrew, right? And I wanted to start doing some bigger things with my life. I wanted to start making some better decisions. But I stayed stuck in the same situations, making the same decisions, getting the same results, because I'm still asking these same friends. Like, I wanna move beyond what this friendship offers, but right now you're the only friend, so I can only ask you, and you're giving me all of this advice. That's terrible advice because you're not even thinking on that level, nor have you experienced it. When you're asking people for help, it should be someone that has experienced something close or significant enough to what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Very, very, very important. You, in your own mind, can't get the result that you've never had.
That's a fact.
You can't. You can't. I didn't get to where I am. You didn't get to where you are thinking on your own mind. Along the way, we've taken courses and we've learned to incorporate what somebody else thought. We've gotten mentors and we learned to incorporate what they thought. You being who you are right now, where you are in your life, is exactly the place that you're supposed to be in, because it's in direct alignment with what you think and how you're thinking right now. If you want to get past that part, we have to start adapting different thought processes. And the best way, the fastest way, the most significant way is to find your who.
Yes.
There's a book called Who Not How. I forget the author. Is that Dan?
What's the name? Sullivan?
Is that Dan Sullivan? Dan
Yeah.
Sullivan. Who Not How. Everybody needs that book. So, oh gosh, did I forget my number 5? Number 5. Before you quit or give up, you should consider who else will be affected from me quitting. Who else quits? Who else loses because I decided to quit? And how much is the pain of them losing with you worth to you? Right? So who else is affected? Couple of examples. Some of you may have children. If you quit and you don't continue to pursue your dream, what kind of life does the as is you provide your kids? If you quit, what kind of example do you fail to set for the friends around you that you see so much potential in? They need to do so much better, and you're that friend. If you quit, do they continue to quit? Who else stands to lose based on your decisions? For me, if I quit and I stayed the same, if I quit right now, my daughter stands to lose. My mom stands to lose. My friends stand to lose, because just simply being associated with me provides something to their lifestyle. My employees stand to lose. If I quit right now, I am affecting dozens of lives. And then not even thinking about the lives of the people who I impact that I'll never, ever get to speak to. But you're watching, you're looking, you're listening, and it's something about Donni Wiggins and who she is today that's driving you, that keeps you going. All of those people stand to lose. If you quit on life, I hear people say sometimes who have survived like a suicide attempt. I hear them say that at that moment, their thoughts are so cloudy that nobody else's pain matters to them. Nobody else's pain. They can't think of anybody else. And I'm imagining that it feels that way, like in business, when you're just so burnt out. I saw a clip from a podcast yesterday, and it's going around on Instagram right now. I forget whose podcast it is. It might be Academics, where this guy says, I have been looking for good people for so long. I'm just tired. And he asked him, like, you that tired that you're ready to quit? And this big grown man just starts crying on this podcast. He's like, I am tired. And I wanted to be in that audience and raise my hand and say, but wait, don't get so tired that you just give it all up. Who else is going to lose? What could you continuing to search for these people that you need in your life, that result? Who else could benefit from that? Who can hear your story right now and they're feeling like you and you're ready to quit and you're justifying quitting for them and they jump too. They quit too. What if you just keep going long enough to be so powerful and so impactful that a nation of people keep going because of your decision to keep going?
That's a fact.
I want to invite you to pick my brain.
Mine too. Mine too.
Yours too?
Mine too.
Yours too.
They can
Okay,
pick
you
my brain.
guys, we are so excited because we just dropped our newest podcast series called the Brain Picker Podcast. David.
Oh, it's going down. You get to pick our brain. You have a business idea, a concept, you're stuck, you can't get off the ground. You need the advice of seasoned, experienced entrepreneurs. Not only entrepreneurs that are practitioners, but we got a lot of people that we've been coaching all over the last decade.
All over the globe.
That got receipts.
Not just that, you never know where your next investor might be hanging out. And the word on the street is we got all the connections.
That's a big fact.
We got all the connections. So if you want to sit down with us and pick our brains
in front of our audience,
and we're letting you pick our brains, we won't even talk bad about you for doing it in front of our audience, bringing your business maximum exposure. Find the link somewhere around here, wherever you see it.
It's there.
And apply
right now
to pick our brain.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
I was brushing my teeth one day and I had my daughter in my hands and I brushed my teeth. You know, like you brush and you kind of spit the stuff out into the sink. She didn't have anything in her mouth, but she was like, It was the cutest thing. Like, yo, baby, you ain't even got nothing in your mouth. So I take the mouthwash and I start gargling. And then I spit it out. And sometimes I'll gargle twice. The second time, I gargle, and my baby was like, I'll gargle. I was like, I gargle, and I hold her in my mouth. She's like, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. She literally does everything I do.
Yeah. Like
if I start clapping, she'll start clapping. I'll call my daughter Corey, like, Corey. And Sarai says, Corey. Everything. If I got down and did some push-ups, right? She would get on her knees, she would do her best to try to do what I'm doing. And I really thought about that and how many people's children are watching their parents do everything they do, including quit, including get frustrated. You wonder why maybe our child has certain issues in school with anger. It's because when someone cuts you off in traffic, you're yelling at the person. So they're just modeling. They don't really know. I can't say, hey, baby, you should gargle after you brush your teeth. And she's like, what? I don't get it. But she's just seeing what I'm doing and she adopts it. She doesn't even know that she's adopting it. So I'm always conscious that everything that I do, for one, everything she sees me do, I'm very careful because I know she's going to model it. The other side is I'm very conscious about everything she doesn't see me do because you can't hide the things that you don't do for long. It will show up in something. So if around whoever you're trying to influence, you're holding your anger, right? Because you don't want them to see it. But if outside of that person, that's how you are, eventually, it will become who they see you are. You can't hide. So I think quitting is the same. So if you started and stopped and started and stopped and started and stopped and you have children, you are setting them up to be a starter and a stopper. Mm-hmm. Go win. One of the best things you can do for your kids is to go win. Learn a skill set, adopt it, and win. So now, because we've quit so many times, we can't even give our kids the message that you should never give up.
Yeah.
Because they see it. They see you give up all the time. You might be a child, 18, 19, 20 years old, and your parent is, let's say, 40, my age, right? We need inspiration too. Yo, you don't know how you inspiring your adults, your aunts, your uncles, your parents. I inspired my mom so much to be an entrepreneur, to go out there. And every so often, I'll have some sort of wins in business, and she'll say, yo, you know what? I got to stop playing with this real estate thing. I got to go all in. But if I quit, it'd been okay for everybody that sees me to quit. So I want us to really consider it.
Yeah.
Your daughter would have definitely She doesn't see mommy quit too much. And I think like because of who you are, on and off camera, on and off from being around people, she's picking up a lot of you.
Yeah.
Even like Donni, she's pushing her daughter, she's grooming her daughter to be the person to run her company. Grooming her daughter. Like that's how generational wealth starts. Generational legacy. I'm about to make a shirt that says generational thing. I shouldn't have said it. But anyway, generational legacy.
It'll be out before this episode drops.
So generational wealth is one thing, meaning I make some money and I can pass it down to my daughter.
Yeah.
And then, I teach them how to manage money and they pass it down. But I'm saying if I make a mark in this world, I want to teach my kids how to make a mark. Not how to just manage the business or manage the money. I want you to make your own mark in this world. So can we create generational legacy, generational impact, not only generational wealth?
Mm-hmm.
I think, did you have anything else before I go to my next point?
No, go ahead.
Before we quit, consider, do I just need a break? Do I just need to slow down? We don't have to quit. Maybe we can slow down. Cool story.
I took mine. I'm going to change it up a little. Let me
Okay,
think.
good.
Okay.
I'm driving and it's pouring down, raining. Me and my boy Brandon, we're driving from, I think, Orlando. Pouring down, raining. I'm talking about raining cats and dogs. It's crazy. So we're driving and it's almost like out of nowhere, just pours down. So we're driving, we slow down, but we don't stop. We just kind of slow down. But I see cars on the side of the road with their hazards on, they pulled over. And me and my friend were talking like, yo, should we just pull over and wait for the rain to subside? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, nah, we'll just slow down, put on our hazards, and we'll just keep moving. But they're like, literally, it's that bad. Like, it's hard to see. But there are people, we see people with their pulled over to the side of the road, flashing lights. So this goes on for maybe, 45 seconds to a minute, maybe. And eventually, it stops. Like where we're at, there's no rain at all. It's almost like a split screen, pouring down raining here, no rain here. It was crazy. Like we get out, I'm like, oh man, that was weird. You know what I mean? Like normally I would imagine it slowing down. But I started to really think about all the people that stopped and they have no idea that no rain is 30 seconds away.
Yeah.
They have no idea. They just see all the rain. They have no idea. Slowing down is necessary sometimes. It's okay to slow down. I'm not mad at that. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you need a mental break. Sometimes you need, okay, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. Okay, but you know what? Maybe I'm going to stop from 10 to 2 and I'm going to drive Uber. I'm going to go get some money, but I'm not quitting. I just don't have the full day anymore. I'm going to slow down. Slowing down is necessary sometimes. But stopping is unacceptable. Especially if you feel like you're doing all that you can. And it's sad when people like have momentum and they quit because they ran out of money. Don't stop. Just like, let's just slow down. Let's figure out, let's re-strategize. Let's retool. 30 seconds. You have no idea. Oh my gosh. There's so many opportunities that are coming to me today from things that I did a year ago. For sure. And they're like, yo, are you still, I ain't been following you lately on social media, but do you still do that thing? I'm like, yeah, of course. Of course I still, yeah, absolutely. I can service that. I haven't done a whole lot of speaking gigs, but I'm not telling people I don't speak. A guy hit me, it was literally the other day, work-based learning. And I would be a speaker every now and again. I'd just be one of the breakout speakers or whatever. And I kind of slowed down because I wanted a keynote space because I'm like, the keynote speakers y'all got, I would kill that. And the guy reached out 2 years later, yesterday actually, 2 days ago. And he said, hey man, we're about to kick it back up. We'd love for you to be the keynote speaker. He's like, yo, I've been watching all the stuff that you've been doing. He said, I follow your podcast, all that kind of stuff. And 2 years later, without me having to ask or promote, but I slowed down on forcing the fact that I need to speak at your event. And I just kept growing. And 2 years later, my man's like, yo, we want you to be the speaker. Mm-hmm. So slowing down is okay, but just don't pull over.
Yeah.
Just don't pull over. Yeah, you're so close to that breakthrough. So
Is that King Energy?
King Energy's here.
Hey, I haven't seen you in
Okay,
years.
King Energy. Do we have a camera for him? Okay, absolutely. So those are the rules, guys.
Hold on, I have one more.
What's up?
What number was that?
That was, what number was that? Y'all paying attention?
Was that
was 5? I thought I was on even numbers. That had to be 6.
That was 6.
You're 7.
All right, number 7 or 6, whatever this is. This one is so simple, and you're gonna be like, "Wow, that's too simple," but it really, really matters. Are you, before you quit, before you give up, ask yourself, am I hungry? And I'm not just going to stop there. Am I hungry? And I say that because that's the one that we can most relate to. But the point that I really want to make is, am I physically well? You ever made a really bad decision, like an argument just started? You're driving in the car, you super starving, you're in the car with your spouse or your significant other, and y'all are going back and forth about what to eat. You're hangry at this point, and you're ready to just blow the whole relationship. Like, I'm done. This doesn't make any sense. It's a wrap. I know I have broken up with a person a time or two because of the bad decisions that I made when I was just hungry or exhausted, like I hadn't had enough sleep.
Or maybe like the time of the month or something.
That time of the month. Yeah. Like number 7 would be, are you well? So go through a well checklist. Have I eaten? That's really important.
That explains a lot.
That explains a lot.
I gotta give my wife a little more grace.
To the point where there's a whole meme that says, don't blame me don't hold me accountable to the decisions that I make when I am hungry. Maybe, have you changed medication recently? This is a big one. I saw there was a mom who was talking about her 3rd grade son committing suicide. And she couldn't figure anything out about him that's changed other than medication. And she's now suing the pharmaceutical company because one of the, or a few of the symptoms cause like depression and anxiety, and you're not feeling like yourself. And the doctors think that this change in medication is a reason why he was feeling so outside of himself that he decided to quit in the most major way.
Wow.
Have you changed medication? Are you drinking enough water? Do you just need to get outside and take a walk? Have you ever just gone outside and hit some sun and you come back and you're re-energized. You've got like a new perspective. Like, before you consider quitting on yourself or on a thing, assess, am I well? Is there a simple thing that I need to do? Do I just need to exercise, eat, drink some water, get a hug?
That's heavy.
A hug. Do I just need a hug from somebody? Like, do I just need to know that do I need to feel somebody else's energy? This is really, really important, because if you just hug somebody, maybe you'll feel their energy and you're ready to go again. If you just have a conversation with somebody, maybe it'll help your mental health perspective. If you just eat a meal, maybe you're not short fused. If you analyze what you're putting into your body, the medication, the supplements, the whatever, maybe it will explain why everything is feeling different to you. And I'm going to close it with the number 8.
How you going to take my...
I have to.
You did 7.
Look now. I got to close it with the number 8. Are you over quantifying and over qualifying?
Explain that.
Mm-hmm. That's what we do.
I know what it means, but Reese is kind of...
You know what it means, but for the Reese's in the room.
Explain Reese.
Are you over qualifying and over quantifying? Meaning, are you using language like, nothing is working, everybody hates me, everybody hates this, nobody likes it? Is that true? Or the last 2 people that you talked to wasn't feeling the shirt, but did you forget about the last 5 sales that you made from people who actually liked it? Is it everybody that doesn't rock with you? Did you talk to everybody, or did you just talk to the 3 people who were nearest to you, the 3 people who you just saw today? Is nothing working, or is nothing about this one campaign working? And are you forgetting that something about the last campaign actually did work? Like, sometimes you can be so down on yourselves, like, everything that we're trying isn't working. Really? Well, when we were going to counseling, that part was working, but we quit counseling and we started to try to just talk to our friends. That's not working.
Yeah.
But the counseling was working. Don't overqualify or overquantify using words like everybody, all people, nothing, everything. When you think, you have to break down those words, because the thought that you rest on, the thoughts that you think, are going to trigger how you feel emotionally, and how you feel emotionally is going to determine how your depth to continue or your depth to quit. So watch the words that you're speaking and watch how you're over quantifying when really it was just one person. You had a bad conversation with one person and suddenly you feel like it's everybody. It's not everybody. Be clear. Well, 2 people of the last 10 people that I spoke to didn't like my shirt. And my feelings are hurt. And now I got to do some work to figure out why my feelings get hurt when 20% of people didn't like my idea, but 80% did. Are you focusing on the small group of people that don't have your thoughts or your opinions or your likes, and you're making them the big deal when you should be focusing on the larger number of things that are actually going well and making it the big deal? That'll keep you going.
Did you cut off your eyebrows?
What?
On that side.
Really?
No, I'm saying, because it doesn't look like hair is there. It looks like a...
Oh, I have microblading. Do you guys know what microblading is? It's a tattoo.
Okay, yeah, it looks like it. King Energy, go ahead.
What up, y'all? King Energy, spiritual coach, spiritual healer. Find me.
Little louder.
Can we hear you?
Hey, everybody.
There we go.
How y'all doing? How y'all feeling?
King Energy be having the lowest energy. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, my energy is
You
high.
want higher energy, man.
It's high. King Energy, spiritual coach, spiritual healer. Find me on Instagram, _King
He
Energy.
would show up for this conversation.
Listen, y'all always have it when I'm here. So it's something going on, right?
We manifested it, or you manifested it. Something happened.
Something. And I wanted to talk about the point of staying in motion, because everything in this universe has to stay in motion or it decays and die. So the slowing down part is really for you to reflect, because when you're going up the mountain, you have to be very careful, right? You slow down, you're not speeding, because 1, you don't know what's at the top. 2, you need to make sure your environment is stable enough to handle your motion, right? To handle your flow. So speaking about you said something about the 3rd grader committing suicide, right? Maybe the parent wasn't slowing down. Maybe she was just moving so fast. And when it was time for her to slow down, she's like, no, I'm not slowing down. And missed that her child was missing something. So you have to appreciate the fast pace, the slow pace, and, just the whole motion in life.
I actually feel, I do feel that too, man. You could be moving so fast that you just miss so much in the daily hustling, bustling, grind. And I recommend, man, especially as an entrepreneur, we need to take a day to just figure out what's going on in the business. Because you start moving. So every day we have a call now at 9 a.m. where it's not like we're all working and making calls. It's us analyzing what's happening. Let's just slow down to see what's happening before the day starts, and then we can go execute on the thing that we figured out what's supposed to be working, what's not working, what is working, things of that nature. So really good point. Thank you so much, King Energy.
Thank you.
Me, one last thing.
I knew it because he was waiting there still.
Just one last thing.
Get your bars off, man.
He always has.
I'm just saying, even for me, one last thing. When I feel like I'm getting too much clients coming in, and I slow down because I am a father first of my son, and he lives with me. So I take time out to make sure I'm on pace with him, making sure he's meeting his goals and not just me meeting my goals. So,
sure. Appreciate it. Give him a round of applause. Anybody got any questions? I do have one more, but anybody have any questions as I close it out? You can just go to the mic. Number 9, which I'll close out with, is
I thought I closed out at 8.
Nope.
Okay.
Let's just identify why we're doing what we're doing. And it's possible that the reason that we're doing the thing that we're doing and it's frustrating, we don't have any passion, is because we decided to do it because someone else either suggested that we do it or there's some influence on social media that we should be being an entrepreneur. And that's not for everybody. Sometimes you just need to add value to an organization and you can get the same results back. So we really, really got to just spend time figuring out, why are we doing this? Why are we in this game? Sometimes we'll figure out that the reason we should be doing something is to be getting better as a person, and it has nothing to do with the thing that we're building.
Yeah.
We might start a hobby, right? It might be, I don't know, putting puzzles together or something like that. And most people say, oh, well, you putting puzzles together, you need to make it a business, shoot a tutorial on how you put puzzles together, and then take it on the road and do events where everybody puts puzzles together. And really, the reason you're doing that is for your own mental health and stress-free. I need to sit down and let my brain work. That's the reason I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But some people will force you to do certain businesses because the thing that you liked is stress-free for you. And it's relaxing and it's almost like therapeutic. But we turn the thing that was therapeutic into something that stresses us out more because we're chasing what social media said is cool. We have to start a business. But I think really identifying why you're doing what you're doing is very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
And if you see that, if you identify that the reason why you're doing it is for one of these reasons, like outside pressure, and it's not something that really brings you joy or peace or is serving a purpose, then I think it is okay to just stop and quit. There is a time, like, this conversation shouldn't make you feel like quitting is not an answer. Sometimes quitting is an answer, not ever on life, but on a thing, on a project. If you're doing something because you saw, if you're starting a podcast just because you saw me and David doing it and it looks easy, but you get into it and this brings you no joy, no pleasure, no satisfaction. In fact, it causes you more stress, more heartache, more pain. Quit. Do something different. Do something else. When you think about why you're doing it, it has to be for a reason that brings you joy, satisfaction, fulfillment, happiness, or serves people in a way that brings you one of those things.
Well said. Well said. What you got?
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Maurice. My question is, so I realized first that y'all, you said that sometimes your children can inspire you. I had this conversation with my mom last week about like how she does a bunch of stuff that where she would want to be won't take her. And I think it might have struck a nerve. And so I want to, you said what?
I wish my child would.
Yeah, and we have a lot of good conversations. So maybe that was a little too far on my end. I wanted to know, like, what is the time where you should do more doing instead of like trying to like inspire? Because I think I try to inspire like my family members to do better instead of just doing and letting them
Best way to inspire is doing it.
Is doing it.
Not teaching, not speaking, not motivation. Go build something.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the best inspiration ever because you'll start teaching somebody something and you feel like you're giving them a good message, but in their head, they're like, I don't want to be where you at.
That's true. That's true.
That's it. Hey, have you noticed that this group of young adults and teenagers are like a whole lot braver than we were as kids?
I think so.
Like he said, I told my mom that, like, I see you doing a whole lot of stuff, but you ain't doing nothing that's about to get you where you're trying to go.
I would never.
My mama would have knocked all of my teeth out. Do you hear me? She might not have done that, but I definitely would have been on punishment. However, I respect it because it's a conversation as an adult. And as I've gotten older, I've had conversations with my mom, like, why'd you give up? Why'd you quit on that? Like, you could be doing X, Y, and Z. And I think those are conversations that we in our generation and before were really scared to have because of the respect that we had with our parents. But I think what you did was great. Obviously saying it in a respectful way. But if you want to encourage any family member to do something,
do it.
Do it. You got to do it first. You can't inspire me to do anything when you're doing nothing. You can only inspire me to do something by the greatness that you've produced.
Yep. Good stuff. What you got?
How y'all doing? My name is Sir Gates, podcaster, entrepreneur. So my question for you guys is kind of a two-part question. First, have either of you guys had a business model that you had to fold the tents on? And secondly, what are 3 signs that an entrepreneur should look out for to know when it's actually time to fold the tents? Outside of just quitting because of motivation, but just 3 things you guys have noticed over your journey in this path to when to fold the tents on a business model.
I think a lot of people, maybe one of the answers is when you fall out of love with it, but I'm telling you, you're going to fall out of love with it every day when it gets hard. If you're building something and it just feels like it's not working and you're exhausted and it's rough, that's sometimes a sign of you growing, and we need to grow through that.
Yeah.
So I have, in my experience, I haven't really quit a whole lot of things, but I'll be doing a lot and I'll kind of like put something on the back burner to focus on something else. For instance, I was doing a lot of in-person workshops last year. And I'm like, well, it's not like I'm quitting events altogether, but I'm looking at where the income's coming from and where I want to go. And it's like, well, is the thing I'm doing going to get me where I want to go the fastest? I'm like, well, that's not going to get me there, but this will. So I lean into the thing that's going to help me get to the goal. So I think it's all, the building of the business isn't the goal. Like for this studio, getting it to a certain dollar amount every single month isn't the goal. I have a goal where if this becomes successful, it will help me plateau to where I really want to go. Make sense? So I think one, you have to be really, really clear on what your goal is. Is this thing going to help me get there? If it is, well, let's figure this thing out. So it's because it's going to be a vehicle that's going to help me get there. If not, then it's like, all right, well, I'm going in a whole nother direction. It might be time for me to put this down.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I've had a business that I won't necessarily say I quit on, but I laid it to bed because I evolved beyond it.
Yep.
So I owned some clothing stores. And at the time that I owned my clothing stores in the beginning, doing very, very well. And I was still doing well when I decided that I had evolved beyond it. And the industry also evolved beyond my model. So I owned women's clothing stores. Instagram became a thing, and Instagram boutiques, selling clothes through boutiques became a thing too. And now people want to, order online and they want things shipped to them. And so they don't want to drive to the store. And I was in a high traffic area and I just had to ask myself, number one, it wasn't really a passion. I enjoyed doing it and I made money. It was easy to do. But the pain or the stress associated with trying to figure it out, for me at that time, I had evolved in a way where other things became clearer for me. And it was just simpler to choose something that was more in alignment with the way that business was growing and evolving at that time. So I can't think of anything that I've quit abruptly except the network marketing industry, but that wasn't really my business. I just got to a place where I just had a realization, like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I stopped. But I didn't stop doing it without a plan. I don't want to do this anymore because I'd rather be doing this. And I did that thing. Period. I think all of the 9 steps that we gave kind of answers the second part to your question. Like all of those things that you should consider before you're quitting. And based on those answers, like if you've gone to your who, you got the who's, and it's still not bringing you fulfillment, it's still not working. If you've exhausted all of the possibilities and the ways in which this could work, if this is just stressing you out to the point where it's detrimental to your health, these are all reasons that maybe you should quit. And then sometimes quitting doesn't mean dissolving the business. Sometimes it could look like you taking a step back and putting somebody else who's more qualified to keep trying some things, to keep tweaking and turning some knobs to make it happen. You might have to take a step back, but that doesn't mean that the whole business needs to close down. Just find somebody else who's willing to give it a couple of tries and see what we can make happen.
Yeah, I can almost pinpoint when I fell out of love with like selling t-shirts and stuff, because my whole Sleep is for Suckers, my Instagram handle, it's the t-shirt brand that I built since 2010. And I if you ask me what I really love doing, I would say building a t-shirt brand, right? But what happened is I'm selling these t-shirts, and then I wrote a book. And then I started selling a book. And I remember one week I made the same amount of money selling this book as I did t-shirts. And I said, yo, this is crazy. When someone buys a shirt, I have to get the design that they want, the shirt color, and their size. Pack it up, ship it out. So I can't like pack up and ship out everything like pre-done or whatever. Or some people are like, yo, do you have this shirt in that color? And I'm like, nah. They're like, yo, when you get that shirt in that color, let me know, I'll buy it. But a book is everybody's size. Like I don't gotta get a small, medium, large. It's a book. I ain't gotta get a shirt, hoodie, sweat. It's a book. And I said, yo, this money's way easier. And I realized that my goal in building the t-shirt brand wasn't for my love of fashion. I was trying to make some money. And I'm like, oh, this book is a better way to make money. Less time, less stress. Let me lean into this book. And then it was like a organization. They had bought like 50 books at $20 a piece. Oh, I don't know too many people that bought 50 t-shirts. And if I did, I had to get those printed. But I already got these books here. And then they say, yo, we're going to buy the books and we're going to pay you X amount of dollars to speak. What?
Oh, the book sale comes with a speaking gig?
You mean 30? They might have gave me like $4,000 or something like that. And I was floored. I said, for 45 minutes, you're going to pay me what? You know how many t-shirts I got to sell to make $4,000? I realized my goal wasn't to sell t-shirts. My goal was to make money. And it seems like a way better way of making money, and it's working. So I started leaning. I didn't like say, all right, we're shutting down the t-shirt brand. But I started leaning into the books and the speaking and the teaching and the coaching. Then it evolved to podcasting and media and production and giving information. And I said, there's a way better path to get to what I want. But if I was Dapper Dan, he probably has an affinity for fashion. Kanye West, he has a disdain. He has like what's the word I'm looking for?
Love?
No, not love, but almost like a hate for the industry.
Loathe? He loathes the industry.
So he's like, yo, I got to do something about it.
Disdain was a good word.
Thank you. I didn't even know what it meant exactly. It just seemed like in context, this thing worked. So,
is this your leader?
Right? So I'm saying we really got to figure out why we're doing what we're doing. And my why wasn't the love for t-shirts. So good question.
Good question.
What you got? Then we'll wrap it up after this one.
Hello, everybody. My name's Tanyan. My question is for you. We kind of talked a little bit about your upbringing and what made you start your business and everything else, but I would like to know, what was the turning point for you to start your own business, and what would be the first 3 steps? Well, what were the first 3 steps that you took?
What made me start my business was me being very clear about the type of life that I desired to live. And I never felt valued and appreciated enough at work. I always felt more talented, smarter, more skilled than people who were getting paid higher than me, right? And I was always the type of employee, like, you have to work this 8-hour day. And I never understood why in the heck you have to work 8 hours a day to get this little stuff done. I would be finished with work in like 2 or 3 hours and just be sitting at my desk twiddling my thumbs. But then there would be this fear that came inside of me when my supervisor or my boss would walk by and I'm doing nothing, and you got to act like you're doing some work real quick. And just as a grown person, I never liked the way it felt for somebody to walk past me and I get scared. I tense up because I finished the job too fast. And I decided that the work environment, or at least that work environment, wasn't for me. So I tried another work environment. And it was kind of the same thing. But here now I have to ask for like permission of when to get hungry. I don't want to go to lunch at 1 o'clock. I don't get hungry until 2. But you're telling me that if I don't go to lunch at 1 o'clock, I skip lunch altogether? So now I have to starve based on your rules and what you're telling me to do? I tried a different work environment. Then I go to a different work environment. My daughter is about to graduate from 5th grade. And I had to ask for permission to go to her 5th grade graduation. And when I asked my direct supervisor, they told me to see somebody over their head. This is a no-brainer for me. What do you mean I have to ask multiple people to go and see my kid graduate from 5th grade. This is a life experience. In that moment, I decided that nobody would get to determine my availability to my child or my quality of life for myself and my family. And even though entrepreneurship has been in me since I was a little girl, it became very clear that that was the only option. I had to build something, and I had to build something on my terms and begin to start living life by design. I paid attention to the people who I actually admired, like in terms of lifestyle. And when I looked at the people that I actually admired in terms of lifestyle, none of them were slaving away at a 9 to 5, and none of them had to ask for permission to show up for their children.
Mm-hmm.
My boss didn't have to ask for permission to show up for their children, but I did. So it had to be for me. So number one, entrepreneurship is not a lane for everybody. This is really something that I'm built for this. It's a burning desire. I would die a miserable woman if I never pursued entrepreneurship. So number one, asking yourself, if this is this really for me, right? Some people are saying, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur because I hate my job. Well, maybe try a different job. Do you find fulfillment in any job? And if you feel like you have this idea, you have this ingenuity, and you just want to try it, then do it. The first step is to start. Think about what that looks like for you, and then start. And then the second step would probably be to invest in things, put yourself in a surrounding where you can get better at being an entrepreneur, better at the service that you provide, or better at creating the product that you offer. How do I become better? And really start studying the back office, so to speak, of being an entrepreneur, and not just that skill set, and evolving and becoming an entrepreneur. And then the third would just be to repeat. It's a repeat cycle. It's repeat connecting your desire or your passion to the thing that you're doing, and growing and getting better at it over and over and over again. But if you desire to be an entrepreneur, you try it. And if you find out that you like it, then you actually do it. There's a difference between trying and doing it. Try it. You don't have to step out and be super CEO. You're not going to step out and be super skilled, understanding that you're going to evolve as an entrepreneur, understanding that the first try for you might look crappy. I sent David a screenshot just yesterday, I think it was, notes from 2014 when I finally quit my job. I hadn't worked in corporate since 2014. And I think it was my speaker fees. And I remember looking at these speaker fees. I was searching for something through my notes on my phone.
That's funny. Let me look at it.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to pull up right now. I was searching through something in my notes on my phone, and I came up with, I sent him something from August. I sent him two things. Number one, July 2017. This is 3 years after I quit my job. My speaking fees, $150 an hour with the 2-hour minimum.
That's a 2-hour minimum.
$500 for 4-hour events. My day rate was $1,000. You couldn't pay me $1,000 to get on the stage today. But this is where I was at that time. Did I want to command TD Jakes' $100,000 speaker fee? Absolutely. But who I was when I was trying it is very different now than who I am now that I am doing it. Right? So hopefully that answered your question, because
you forgot my favorite part. Travel expenses covered.
Yeah, all I wanted was my travel expenses covered.
And I can imagine, like, when she's adding that to it, it's like, all right, $1,000, they got to pay my travel too.
They got to pay my travel too.
You thought you was doing
travel too. And let me tell you something, it evolves. So when I was leaving my job in 2014, I tried to leave my job a couple of times. I owned a clothing store, tried to leave my job, went back to work. And entrepreneurs, you try, and that's the difference between trying and doing. I leave my job and I'm doing all this, and speaking in 2017, 3 years after leaving my job, was just an addition. I just released a book. Oh, honey, I thought this was big money. You know, when this was created, I just thought about this. I gotten the biggest speaking gig of my life, Bishop TD Jakes.
Megafest.
At Megafest. It was the biggest speaking platform, biggest speaking stage in the United States at that time.
I printed your t-shirts for that.
You printed my t-shirts. I wrote this book. I'm finding out that making book money and t-shirt money is a whole lot easier than network marketing. This is when I started kind of detaching myself away from that. And now I'm on stage with Bishop TD Jakes. Y'all got to pay me $150 an hour for 2 hours minimum. TD Jakes put me on as a keynote. You got to pay me $1,000 for my whole day. Travel expenses covered. What? What? Then, almost a year later, I wrote out, this is the note, I sent this to David too, April 30th. And the note that's attached to it that I wrote him said, look at the date on that. I've done every single thing on this list except for the salon and the barbershops. And we're in the process of working on that, right? Donnie's stream of income, this note from April 30th, 2018. Books, these are the things that I desired to do. Books, audios, speaking, coaching, events, courses, network marketing, property management, currency trading, luxury concierge services, written content creation, video content creation, staff training, motivating staff to work harder, hair salons, barbershops. That is on this list.
4 years ago.
This was 4 years ago. You talk about somebody who was all over the place, but I did every single last thing on this list. Every single last thing on this list, I've done it because I've never been afraid to try something. I've never been afraid to fail at something. I'm not going to quit on a thing. I'm going to try it and I'm going to recognize like, oh, it's not really what I want. The $150 for 2 hours is not what's up, right? The $1,000 for a day is not the way that I want to do it. So then obviously since then we've streamlined some of the things that we've done and I've connected dots. What's on this list that I want to make money from that I can position in one business? And I've done that. So as someone who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur, I go on a tangent because it's so important. Just try something. You may not have the total idea figured out yet. When I started in the coaching space, I'm a business coach, right? I started in the personal development coaching space. I used to help people feel good about themselves. I helped women feel significant because we lose ourselves in children and we lose ourselves in marriage and relationships. Then I realized I was building a business and people started coming to me and say, hey, I want to start a business, but I don't know what that looks like. And I would talk to them for 30 minutes. And before I knew it, I had a gift that's saying, you'd be really good at doing this. So then I started getting paid just to tell people what kind of business to start. I'm not helping you start it. I'm not starting it with you or for you. All I know how to do is tell you what I think you should start. And as we're going through the year of doing this, people are starting businesses. And now I'm starting to get like emails and DMs of people saying, Donni, yo, thank you for that conversation. I went and started that mechanic shop. I went and started that salon. I went and launched that course. And so then I start advertising like, okay, I'm your go-to. If you're struggling to find an idea, I can help you do that. So now my business was to teach people how to go from A to B, not being an entrepreneur to discovering what an idea is. I ain't even guaranteeing that you're going to start. I'm just telling you what the idea could be, right? But as I'm growing and I'm evolving as an entrepreneur, I'm making more money. My business is growing. So now I'm qualified to teach you more than just what you should start. Now I can teach you from A to C how you should start. Aspiring, what you should start, how you should start. I'm growing. I didn't wait. Now I teach you how to make millions of dollars. Me today. Now I teach you how to make millions of dollars. But me in 2017 didn't know how to make millions of dollars. I just knew how to tell you what kind of business you should start. I let the process be the process. I respected the journey. I started with what I knew. So if you are wanting to start a t-shirt line and the only thing you know how to do right now is come up with fantastic slogans and designs, maybe you start a business saying, hey, you want to start t-shirts, but you lack creativity. I know dope slogans and designs. That is my business. I don't produce t-shirts. I don't manufacture. I don't ship. I give you slogans and designs. The end. Start with what you know. And then as you evolve, you can add more things later.
Yeah, I was going back over this for 2018. And I was doing, and this is like a part of the process that you have to go through, right? 2018, I was doing these coaching sessions for $97.
I started at $47.
Look, like this is a booking that I had from 4 to 4:30 on Tuesday, January 1st, 2019, $97.
Yo, I started in 2014 coaching for $47. Around that time, I was $97. David and I have been friends for a long time.
Yeah,
and
sure.
our prices have always been congruent. What you charge for this service? What do you charge to speak? What do you charge for this? So I know we were in alignment. $97, you guys. Now my clients pay anywhere from $32,000 to $100,000 to work with me. I started at $47.
And I think people miss that particular step. Like, yo, before that, it was, yo, take me to lunch.
Yes.
Before that, what? Come on, man.
That's why you hear us on the podcast often like, got a couple lunch dollars on it? Because we like to eat. Take me to do something I enjoy doing.
So watch this. I'm letting people take me to lunch to pick my brain in 2000. This had to be 2000. I left 2012, 2013-ish. I'm like, at first, I'm like, yo, come to the kiosk. We're like, yo, you left your job, man. How'd you build out your t-shirt brand this into 2012, 2013? I'm like, yo, I'm advertising this. I'm like, come to the kiosk, buy a shirt. I'll coach you. Just buy a shirt. Like, just buy something and I'll coach you all day. And then it got so overwhelming because people were just coming and they wouldn't buy the shirt. They just come and talk to me, which was cool. But then I'm like, all right, you got to take me to lunch. And I give you all the game you need. And it wasn't a high level. It was like Maggiano's or Cheesecake Factory where maybe it's $47, $40 a lunch or whatever. And then going to $97 coaching and kind of now what we're doing. But people don't understand from 2010 to 2012, I'm building this t-shirt business for 2 years. I'm just trying to build something. And because of that, before that, I'm doing network marketing business. I'm selling all kind of stuff.
Everything.
I'm painting t-shirts in college. All these years to get this information that I got, take me to lunch. But people don't want to go build something and like know something to be true. In this t-shirt business, there's some things that I know to be true because I've did it and I've spent so much time in the space.
Yeah.
But we don't want to do that. We just want to teach and inspire and coach people and give people a word and give them some bars. But we don't want to go through all that stuff. Right? At the workshop, I just showed y'all the whole journey when I started my YouTube channel in 2010. The first dollar was 2020 or 2019. Nobody wants to do that though. I'm just telling you, and I want to encourage you that tomorrow is coming. Tomorrow is coming. Next year is coming. 3 years from now is coming. And if you'd have had this mindset 3 years ago, like I'm just going to grind for the next 3 years, now you'd have something to sell. You'd have something to offer, something to teach somebody. But we got to grind. We got to start now. Don't start comparing yourself to people that you see on social media who had their first year in business and they made X amount of dollars. Don't compare yourself to that. Let's just go get our own wins.
Yeah.
So,
and realize, you guys, that the people that we're seeing share these stories of like, I made $1 million in my first year in business, or I even made $100,000 in my first year in business. That's not the norm. I didn't make $100,000.
And we don't know the story.
Yeah, and we don't know the story. I didn't make $100,000 my first year in business. I was clawing myself out of a hole on the backside of foreclosures, repossessions, losing all my money from, the recession at that time. I didn't make $100,000 for a few years into my business. And you don't ever know the story. You don't know the head start, the funding, the financing, the loans. You don't know who they had access to, if their family was, someone already super qualified to put them on, and the connections that they had. You don't know. So don't be afraid to go out and have your first $18,000 year. You make $18,000 from your own idea. That is huge.
Major.
Celebrate that. Don't be afraid to grow in the next year. You have a $22,000 year. You might not be ready to quit your job yet, but celebrate that from your own idea, you made $22,000. And if you get into that attitude of gratitude, if you respect the journey and don't be afraid to look less than what other people are doing, don't be afraid to look like you don't know, just start. Start at the bottom. Work out of the basement. Work from the driveway on the cars. Manufacture your shirts from the extra room in your house. Whatever that looks like for you, do it. Respect the $18,000 the same way you're going to respect the $100,000. Be grateful for the journey and the process. And I promise you, you can't not get the result that you want following the principles that we taught today. You just can't. You cannot not run into success, even if you feel like it's accident. You will accidentally run into success following the principles that we teach. Just do it. You got to start.
That's a fact. Listen, man, if you are not subscribed, everybody, are y'all subscribed to our YouTube channel and our podcast?
Let me see. Right here in the hoodie, right up front.
Hit that YouTube.
You're not
Social Proof. Look on YouTube. Subscribe.
Shameful.
Go to your wherever you listen to podcasts. Type in Social Proof and hit the follow at the top right hand corner. Okay, on Spotify, Apple. Just subscribe. Okay, that supports us more than you know. Also, this episode is sponsored by The Morning Meetup. TheMorningMeetup.com is the only organization that gathers every single day, Monday through Friday, to teach entrepreneurs how to entrepreneur. It is the biggest, best, most amazing, fruitful community that you'll ever be a part of.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people on a call every single day. And we have a theme for the month. And we're teaching on the theme. We're learning the theme. The theme this month is how to make money. Every day, Monday through Friday, we're teaching you how to make money. And people are being inspired and motivated and learning the tricks of the trade on how to make more money in their business. Today, we had a gentleman talking about the holes in the boat. So we got a boat of finances, but there's holes everywhere and we can't keep any money. So if you were on today's call, then you would understand, this is how I'm going to patch some of the holes in our boat. Or you can join and listen to all the recordings that we had since 2017. No lack of information, okay? So go to themorningmeetup.com and send me a text message, 404-737-4935.
This episode is also brought to you by Six Figure EDU.
I wish we had somebody pulling up in the back like that. Where did Mark go?
Do you see how rude he is?
Where did Mark go?
Did I cut you off?
I know, but I just thought about it. I'm thinking about you too, because they could pull mine is over. They could pull out Six Figure EDU.
Yeah, well, whatever. This episode is also brought to you by Six Figure EDU. That is the word SIX figureedu.com. Mine is going to play music, so you don't have to do it. Anywho, you
might not even hear the music. It'll be a good visual.
Fact. Sixfigureedu.com. You guys, I develop coaches, consultants, and course creators from scratch. That is my signature program for coaches, course creators, and consultants. Now, you may say, Donni, what if I'm not a coach? What if I'm not a course creator? What if I'm not a consultant? Can you still help me in my business? I can, but you still go to that same link, sixfigureedu.com. Go through the process.
We had this whole screen and we use it all episodes.
We didn't use it. You see, that's me.
Cool
all you got to do is enter your email address. Click that little link. I require that you watch a little training video. You want me to help you? You got to put some skin in the game. Watch that very quick video. Book a call with me, and we will help you figure out how I can help you and what you should do next. All right? No, because you got to go straight to the training. This is very strategic. That's why we make the big bucks, all right? Sixfigureedu.com. And lastly, you heard David talking about taking lunch to pick his brain. Well, we don't do that anymore, so. But we do allow you. We do something. We do allow you to pick our brains. Me and David together, you get to tag team both of our entrepreneurial brains. Oh, snap! At the same time, that's us, y'all. That is us. This looks really good. Scroll just a little bit.
How does it look on the camera? How does it look?
Does that look good?
Like that? That's cool.
You ain't feeling it, Reese?
I mean,
okay, whatever. Scroll a little bit. This is us. And look, business coaching session broadcast live on YouTube. Exposure for your brand in front of thousands of people. Attract new customers and potential investors instantly. How fast do you attract them? Instantly. Get the clarity you need to take your business to the next level. BrainPickerPodcast.com is for entrepreneurs who are looking to start, develop, or scale your business concept. And if you scroll down here, you'll see all of the Brain Picker Podcast clients that we've had up here. And all of them have had a major transformation in their business from the opportunity to sit and pick me and David's brains. So if you want to do that, we don't take lunch anymore. I mean, we will take lunch.
We will sometime.
You just
depends on the day.
You won't pick our brains for lunch. BrainPickerPodcast.com. BrainPickerPodcast.com. Look at us. Don't we look good?
We should have had. We should have
definitely going to the Bob.
This would be good. And next time we'll have like somebody specifically on the camera to kind of go into, or we'll switch it on the board. I don't know. We're gonna do
So
something.
here's the thing. I'm gonna watch this when it drops, but I just feel like we should have something scrolling in our background, kind of like CNN's headlines kind of do that. I feel like this is our thing now.
This is cool.
This is cool.
No, we're going back to the studio.
I know, but can we, you know what I mean?
We'd have to have a green screen.
Let's get it. Let's do it. Like,
make sure y'all subscribe to the podcast. They're like, yo, is it over? Yeah. Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all.